and a very happy new year to you, and a very special welcome to our little show, Xandermonium, the talk show that gets you talking. I'm Xander Gibb, and on today's show, along with my co-host, Tony Losacco, I will be breaking down the hotter topics in this week's news, and in part deux, I will be talking to the comedian and mayoral hopeful Sarah Boyles. More to come in a mere moment. So as per usual, you can interact with us during the show in the chat room at the bottom of the page. Keep scrolling down. Now, if it doesn't let you join in the chat, that's because you have to join with a Blog Talk. If you click on it, it will let you join with either Facebook or Twitter with one click, and then you will be able to join in the conversation. You can call us with your comments and questions and interesting stories on 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. That's the same number all the way throughout the show. You can tweet us. You can tweet me at Xander Gibb, XanderGibb, capital X, capital G. Don't forget the @ symbol. You can also tweet Tony. Tony's Twitter handle is at FullStory2014, FullStory 2014, and Sarah, her Twitter handle is at Boyles_S. That's BOYLES_S. Tweet me if you're too shy, and I will make your point for you. Oh, yes, indeed, I will. So 2015 is now upon us, and like most people, I will be writing 2014 on my collection of stolen checks for some time joke. Now, whilst I entered the year quite positive in my attitude, that could soon be waning given the fact that social media is still full to the brim of needy assholes who are always right and need to feel superior due to some BS or another, but go figure. Now, I guess I've grown a little, as this time last year I would be fighting with them, but I guess my evolution allows me to be able to see through people's needs to fight and gain attention on Facebook. Never heard of medication, dear. I laughed so much this week as the self-proclaimed Queen of Pop, Madonna, compared herself to greats such as Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela, which is kind of like me comparing myself to the wonderful and fabulous people out there. Now, you know, I really don't get me wrong, Madonna has been a front runner in the pop stakes, but seems to sometimes let it go a little bit to her head. Now, whilst I am a fan, before you all start writing, emailing, and calling Madonna's fan club, can't we love a Gaga, a Madonna, or would that be too reductive? Now, I really don't want to support any artist who feels that they are bigger than their own ego. Now, whilst it's imperative to enjoy one's success, competing with those half your age and trying to encourage your fan base to dislike them, in my book, is asking a little much. Now, the music buying public are more than capable of liking who they want to like. And when my album comes out this year, I hope my music is good enough to speak for itself without having to liken myself to anyone or encourage a dislike of other artists. So watch this space match. Oh, yes, indeedy. Now, that was Xander's Soapbox for this week. If you'd like to come and get on your soapbox, you can email me at xander@xandergibb.com. That's xander@xandergibb.com. So get your fingers typing and tell me what you want to come on and talk about and get on your soapbox, and we will arrange to call you back and record that with you. Oh, yes, indeed, we will. Hello to everybody in chat. Welcome to the show. We're just waiting for our co-host, Tony Losacco, to call in. But while we do, I'm sure lots of you are aware that today was the funeral of one of the slain officers of the NYPD Officer Lou was buried today, and there was lots of controversy about the fact that police officers, once again, and members of the public, I have to add, turned their back on Mayor de Blasio. What are your feelings about this? Call us on 347-884-9061, and we can talk about your feelings upon that. Sorry, I'm trying to do 10 things at once at the moment, and also to talk. What do you think? Was it appropriate for them to do that? Was it not appropriate for them to do that? Do you feel that Mayor de Blasio has indeed supported the NYPD or not? So while you dwell upon that, I'm going to play a quick song while we get it all together, and we will be back with you very soon. This is one from my album, The Platinum Prequel. It's called Ideal One, and it was written by me, sung by me. In fact, it was all me. So there we go.
Aha, you're my ideal one. Love has come and go, so selfish and uncaring. Walk all over you, never give a thought to sharing. Never thought I'd find one who felt like me. Then you came into my life and brought a total harmony. You're my ideal one. Thank my lucky stars I found you. Ideal one. Feels so good to be around you. No one knows what I went through to get you here with me. Our love was meant to be. I wanna tell the world that you're my ideal one. I tried so many ways to find the perfect lover. Everyone has failed, couldn't live with one another. I tried to be myself, just me. Then you came along, you took me from the shelf, put music to my song. You're my ideal one. Thank my lucky stars I found you. Ideal one. Feels so good to be around you. No one knows what I went through to get you here with me. Our love was meant to be. I wanna tell the world that you're my ideal one. I used to question why things didn't come together in the blinking of an eye. Give up on the old endeavor. Love knocked on my door. I had to let it in. Maybe I wasn't sure just what your love could bring. You're my ideal one. Thank my lucky stars I found you. Ideal one. Feels so good to be around you. No one knows what I went through to get you here with me. Our love was meant to be. I wanna tell the world that you're my ideal one. So ideal, our love is real. Don't ever wanna lose you. You are my life, my paradise. I thought you were my music. I would have walked over the coast, but babe, I didn't need to. Love of your mind, I'm feeling fine, and every day is new.
yes, indeedy. That was Ideal One, written by yours truly, Xander Gibb, available from iTunes and all good music retailers. So joining me to break down the hotter topics, the issues that matter this week, is my co-host, broadcaster, libertarian, and freethinker, the one, the only, Mr. Tony Losacco. Welcome to the show, Tony. How are you doing?
Good. How you doing, Xander?
I am doing fabulously, thank you very much. Now, I don't know how much you heard of what we were talking about at the foot of the show, but we were talking about the fact that on social media, people are talking again today about the fact that when Mayor de Blasio in New York was speaking at the funeral of Officer Lou today, that both the police and members of the general public turned their back on him once more while he spoke. What's your response to this? Do you think that it's a warranted response, given his commentary on the police as a whole, or is it disrespectful?
Well, as you know, I'm on the opposite sides of the political spectrum as Mayor de Blasio, that's for sure, or President Obama. But I think it's completely unwarranted. I think it's a disgrace. I followed his statements that he made after what happened, and I didn't think they were so outrageous. He was talking about just like I don't think he said anything unsupportive or unreasonable. At best, maybe an ill choice of words, and to do that to your commander-in-chief, elected official, who's technically the head of the city departments, which would include the New York City Police Department, is a complete disgrace. And right. I think it was very disrespectful, and I don't think it was warranted. I don't think it was warranted the first time they did it, but I understand emotions were high, and now it's even more unwarranted. You do not do that whether it's the President of the United States.
Tony, you're breaking up. I don't know what's going on. Are you
do that?
Are you still there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're breaking up. I don't know what's going on with your phone.
It's been doing that for weeks. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's completely unwarranted, whether it's the President of the United States and the military is doing something like that to him, or whether it's the mayor of New York City and the people under his command are doing something like that. I mean, right. The military and the ranks are supposed to be about order and respect and authority.
Right. So clearly the NYPD feel that they have a warranted issue with regards to the situation. What is the way forward between the NYPD and the mayor? Given that apparently there's been a significant drop in the number of arrests and citations being given in the past 2 weeks within the NYPD. What's the way forward? Because I'm sure that the police feel that they have a warranted beef, but what's the way forward? Should de Blasio have a sit down with the police unions? What should happen to change this up?
Well, for one thing, I think that, and this is just a hunch, that it's got a lot more to do with his opposition to the stop and frisk policy. I mean, he got off on the wrong foot because two mayors had that policy in place, and the police thought that that's what they used to control crime. So when he ended that policy, I think it caused a lot of hostility among the police officers, feeling this guy isn't right. for us. But I think that then, in addition, when he made that statement, which, see, I heard the statement. I didn't think it was really that bad. That's the thing. I mean, he talked about having to talk to his own son about what he would do and how he would react to police officers. I mean, we have to recognize in this country there is racial profiling, justified or not justified. It happens. I mean,
right.
I don't understand why they feel so disrespected or unsupported. That's why I take it back to the stop and frisk, and I think it had a lot more to do with that. Now, God help the people of New York City if they start doing a strike or blue wall or something like that, or sick outs. I hope it doesn't come to that.
Right. Now, the other side of this, I think, is to do with the fact there's still a lot of controversy over whether Fox had doctored footage. Now, I wasn't at any of the protests. And we weren't covering it for either the TV or the radio show, so I don't know exactly what happened. But allegedly, some protesters were chanting "Kill cops, cops must die," all that kind of thing. And this was put on the TV by Fox, and nothing, no comment came from Mayor de Blasio about this. And I think that's a big reason why they kind of feel slighted in the situation. Now, the community as a whole, really, as far as I'm concerned, whatever your feelings are about all of this, we have to really start to come back together because a divided community is not a community at all, and the concern is that how bad does this have to get before we actually start to make changes and to make a difference.
And see, like you, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe both sides are wrong. I think the protesters are agitating things, and a lot of them are just outright troublemakers. These people talking about killing police officers should be arrested and locked up before they do more damage and take more lives.
Absolutely.
But I think the police unions are blowing this way out of proportion, looking for a crusade as well. And I think both sides just need to tone it down a notch. I mean, it would be very nice if the civil rights people, for once, recognize that a disproportionate number of African Americans commit crimes. Now, why that's the cause you can address on a separate issue. But facts are facts. A disproportionate amount of African Americans commit crimes and are incarcerated. So if they're profiling them or they feel harassed, well, the fact is, a lot of people are afraid to say it, but a white guy walking down the street in a suit and tie isn't likely to be dealing drugs or killing somebody or doing a carjacking. But a young black man in his early 20s or a teen is more likely to be committing the crime.
So is this, because clearly there is stereotyping out there. Are you saying that you feel that the stereotyping is warranted or not?
Honestly, I feel that it's somewhat warranted. I'm not saying to harass people based on their color or their skin. Not at all. Do not misunderstand me. But I'll give you an analogy with terrorism. Okay? The TSA was patting down little old grandma, and the special needs children for bombs. Okay? Well, I thought back then, and I said, wait a second. This was before the Boston bombing, when there was a white guy that did the Boston bombing, mind you. I said back then, though, wait, let's see. Middle Eastern, why don't we focus on that? Those are the ones that are out there. But it's common sense. It's just a common sense statistical point of view. I mean,
Tony, can I just interrupt you for a second?
Yes.
Do you have your computer on? Have you got this on your computer too, the show?
No, I don't have the show on my computer, but I do have my computer on.
Right. It's fine. We were just trying to track the cause of the feedback. Go on. Sorry. Carry on. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay. And I mean, okay. Let me give another analogy. I guess I'm filled with them today. If a crime is committed in my neighborhood, okay. And somebody just jacked the local liquor store. And I'm walking down the street and I'm a registered gun owner. But the description's a short guy, white guy, and I'm carrying a gun. Guess what? The police are probably going to stop me at gunpoint because I fit the profile.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with race. And I wish the civil rights people would make the distinction there. This guy that this poor man that was killed, I think was a tragedy, but from what I understand, one of the little reported things there is that an African-American female police officer was in charge of that. Now, I haven't verified that. I don't know if that's true or not, but that is what I heard on one of the news sites, that actually it was an African-American female officer that was in charge of that scene. So it really didn't have to do with race. It was an issue of police brutality, overreach.
But, you know,
to make it all about race is crazy.
Right, exactly. I mean, I have to respond to a couple of your points. You know, just that, you know, we've asked this question a lot in the United States. You know, what does a terrorist actually look like? The way that things are nowadays, you know, a lot of terrorists are actually homegrown and were actually raised in the United States. So it's impossible to stereotype what a terrorist looks like now. No. You know, you can't do that. Now I suppose it's a different matter with kind of like criminology, and there is an element of stereotyping that goes on. But is that a necessity for the job? Because what always goes through my mind, I have a great respect for the police, and I always have, and I've never had any problems. I've been stopped by the police, but not arrested, because I don't give them any grief. I answer their questions. I tell them what they want to know, and then I'm on my way.
Right.
But what I'm saying is there a necessity for an element of stereotyping to actually go on? Now, I mean, I don't know if there are any police officers listening. Call and tell us what you think. 347-884-9061. Is it a necessity to profile as a part of your job? Now, the thing that always amazes me about a police officer is that they're quite often they're in this position where they have to make a split-second decision that could base on them being dead or alive at the end of that confrontation. And they're not always going to get it right. But what we cannot do is we cannot cancel out the whole police force for mistakes of the few, and also for bad cops, because there are bad cops. There are bad people in every profession, but we cannot cancel out the whole profession for a few bad eggs. Would you agree with that statement?
I absolutely agree, and I think another point that needs to be made is people need to start distinguishing between what I would call institutional racism, policies that are racist, organizations that are racist, and human nature which cannot be changed. The things that people often forget about police officers, teachers, doctors, youth pastors, counselors for that matter, is that we're people. We are human beings, and we're prone to the same mistakes, to the same judgments as anybody else does. If I'm in my neighborhood, which is a trailer park of old people mostly, okay, and I'm walking my dog at 11, 12 o'clock at night in the dark, and I see an older couple, I don't think twice. If I see a group of 3 or 4 kids, I back off and I get on my guard, because my automatic thought is, are they going to do something? Are they going to rob me? Are they breaking into houses? What's going on? Now, you could say that's unfair, I'm racist, I'm judgmental, but it's an automatic reaction. You don't shut that sort of thing off.
Right.
And you can't expect a police officer on the beat or in a patrol car to shut that same basic thinking down. We all judge, we all stereotype, we all make decisions based on that. We do it on TV, how we like an actress or a singer, for God's sake.
So I suppose there's an element of conditioning in all of this. You know, like I was talking to a girlfriend of mine the other night, and she said I wouldn't live in certain neighborhoods because I'm a girl, and I sat back and thought about that, and you know, she was quite right, because I'm a guy. If someone's gonna attack me, they're gonna get it back. But a girl is different because they would be seen as like more vulnerable. There's a conditioning element to all of these things. But is societal conditioning always wrong?
Well, that is a very hard question to answer. I think that certain stereotypes are wrong. I mean, I think there's a reality none of us really want to admit deep down, which is we all hate stereotypes, and we all say you shouldn't judge. I mean, that's a universal standard. but we're all
Right.
hypocrites, and we all do it. It's just ingrained within our nature.
Exactly. We all do it. You know, I've had four major relationships in my life, and only one of them has been with a white guy. You know, two of them were with African Americans, and one was with an Asian person. And I've still been accused of being racist because of some of my opinions. But I really get offended when, if you don't agree with someone, you're an ist, or you're a phobe, or you're a this, or you're that. Can't we just agree to disagree on things? You know. A perfect point for this, Joe just said in the chat room, if the radio says, look for a black person that's 6 foot tall, why is it called racial profiling to stop every black person that's 6 feet tall? I can't disagree with that, you know?
But no, and that's what, and thank you, Joe, because you said it much better than I was. That's what I was trying to say. Exactly
Right.
my point. If it fits the profile and the description and the descriptors, you can't say it's racial profiling. If the disproportionate amount of crime, I'm just making a number up, but let's say 80% of the crime in one neighborhood is committed by African American young males. Well, I'm sorry, if the police are called to a scene, they're going to stop the young African American males because they're going with statistics.
Right. I mean, there is a school of thought that a lot of this is circular, and that the reason why more crime is committed by black people / African Americans is because people from that subgroup are usually lower income families. But is that just an excuse, or is that something we should be taking into consideration?
No, I think that the African American community and the gay rights community should get together because they are the same sort of agenda and the same mistakes they both make them. Instead of focusing on the real issue of racism, which is why do so many African Americans commit crimes, young males? Why are they in those conditions to begin with? Okay, why is this the case? That's the real issue that they pick on the easy thing, just like the gay rights community would rather address gay marriage than, hey, it's still legal to fire you if you're gay in some states. People pick on the easy, comfortable issue instead of addressing the real underlying issue. I mean, there's a disproportionate number of African Americans in jail, and that's due to the drug war. That's due to an unjust drug war, which I'd go as far as in the 80s, as much as I liked the Reagan administration, was targeted at African Americans. Whether directly or indirectly, it was targeted towards them. And African Americans generally do have lower income, or on social services, or in bad neighborhoods. They don't have the money for the attorney. I see this as a caseworker every day, where the people that can't afford the representation and have nobody to fight for them and don't have the resources get the shaft by the system. That's what needs to be addressed.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I always just cut to, you see, because whatever subjects you're discussing, there's going to be rights and wrongs on every side. There's going to be people that agree and disagree. But I'm always looking for solutions and ways forward. But I really do hope and pray that things do start to change, because we are on a very slippery slope in this country right now, and things need to turn around very quickly, and we all play a vital role in turning things around and making a difference, even just in our everyday lives. But I don't think people see that they actually make a difference, you know.
Well, and I think, Xander, that the overall issue is being fudged by race and being totally sidestepped to race, which is, as a libertarian, and I fully believe this, the police in this country has been making a general statement, not saying it's every officer like you said, but police departments and their power are out of control today. And it's not a matter of black, white, brown skin, whatever. It is a matter of the law enforcement in this country has become too powerful and gotten too many powers granted to them by society, and when much power is given, it will be abused. It's that simple. We have to start taking some of these powers back from our police agencies and from law enforcement.
And that does certainly need to be addressed. But my issue is with the generalizing. I haven't got the statistics in front of me, but for the number of police in this country, and the number of alleged abuses of power, apparently we were even lower. We were quite low in the kind of statistics on a worldwide basis. And I'm not saying that makes it right. And I'm not trying to just kind of like big up the police and to just be kind of like just pro-police. I think it's vital that we all see every aspect of things that are going on, but we have to be always looking for solutions. And some groups don't want that. I mean, I don't think, I'll go on the record as saying that I don't think Al Sharpton does anything for African American people in this country, because the issues that he gets forceful on really are not creating any solutions. It's all about making a statement, and I think we have to get beyond making a statement and actually making statements and actually to making a difference.
Well, and you asked for well, what are some solutions? Okay. I think maybe we're looking in the wrong direction for a solution. We have a trend in our country, in our society today, where we want the government to change. We expect the government to do everything. We protest so the government changes or passes a law. But we don't look at ourselves as a citizenry and see how we can change. Well, in both of these cases, where the police officer shot the one kid or did that to the other man where he wound up dying, they were both resisting arrest. Well, you know what? There's a way to do things. If a police officer stops you, there's a way to resist without resisting. To be within the law, know your rights, know your constitutional rights, say, hey, no, you don't have the right to do that. Yes, you can have my ID, but no, you can't search my car, where they don't have an excuse. And perhaps we need to be more educated, or maybe even educate the citizenry of the inner cities on what are your rights and what is the proper way to respond to law enforcement, where there is no excuse for these things. That's what I'd like to see. People standing up for their rights.
Right, absolutely. I mean, we've seen examples of that on YouTube and stuff, and in the end, the police officer walks away. I remember seeing somebody, I don't know what state it was. I think it was one of the southern states, where he asked him to empty out his backpack, and the guy was a law student and got pretty cocky. But what he was saying was fairly correct. But I think sometimes it's actually about how you say things, not what you say,
Well, I mean, two untouched issues here in the whole big debate. One thing you touched on, which is you even posted something about a police officer who talked a kid out of suicide, I believe, on your Facebook.
I did,
That didn't make the news. And one of the underlying issues here is we live in a corporate-controlled media, which most people don't realize. The majority of newspapers, magazines, internet publications, and networks are owned by three mega corporations. We're getting our news from three major corporations. So they sensationalize, they pick the topic of the day to rile the American public up about, and that is it. Well, it's not being reported because it doesn't fit with the storyline, whoever decides these things, about the cops that saved the kid from drowning or about the cop that rushes into the burning building. You don't hear those things.
Because positive stories don't make good news, unfortunately. And that is a concern. Is that more reflective of how we've become as a community or the media, or is that a bit of both?
I think it's honestly more reflective on us that we accept it, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier. We are a citizenry that has given up our powers and ceded them to the government. Nobody wants to do anything anymore. We expect the police to do it, the fire department, city hall, the Congress, whoever it is. We don't do things ourselves. If somebody's in need on the street, homeless, will work for food with a sign, most of us won't stop by today because our first thought is, oh, they're getting welfare or food stamps. We need to get back to the point where us as a people, as a community, as Americans, as human beings for that matter, care enough to stop and help that person.
Right. Yeah, I actually saw something on Facebook today about this family that had gone on holiday to Thailand, and that there were literally people begging in the streets there. And they made this video. I shared the video. They made this video of the fact that they took all the money that they had left at the end of their holiday. They bought this trolley on wheels affair, filled it with gifts and food, and gave all the stuff they had left over to these people that were begging on the streets. And I thought that was admirable. But my secondary thought was, how about not having one holiday a year and giving that money to people that it could help? You know? Or is that too much to ask?
It's not too much to ask, Xander, and I believe we're at a very bad place in this country right now because of what we've become. I mean, here's two examples. This is coming from the state of Florida, and I'm just going to deal with locally since that's where I'm at, okay? My local sheriff's office has a slogan, and they posted it on their logo. Their slogan isn't, remember when police used to be to protect and serve?
Yep.
Well, their new slogan for the Pasco County Sheriff's Office is "We fight out. We fight as one. We fight as one." That's a military slogan. Who are you fighting? It's not each other, so that would be you and me and the public. And then in addition, you have cities passing laws that it's illegal to feed a homeless person. And they're throwing, in Florida right here, they threw somebody in jail for it. It's crazy.
Let's just stop there for a second, Tony, because I've seen that a lot recently. How ridiculous is that? The places in the United States make a law when there's such poverty around that you're not allowed to feed homeless people. I mean, that itself, it's like, have you seen The Emperor's New Clothes? It is so damned ridiculous that it makes me want to throttle whoever came up with that BS. I mean, I can't get over it. Look at that old guy that got arrested so many times for feeding the homeless. I mean, where have we come as a nation? If that's what we're doing, if that's the price you pay for helping other people, I mean, maybe that is a part of why people don't help so much. You know?
And one thing I'm hopeful for Xander, is this. You have the far right, which is the Tea Party folks, okay, and the libertarians like myself, who are against the government. And you have the far left, progressives. They're beginning to come together, the two most opposite extremes, and they agree on one thing. The government has gotten out of control. We need to take our rights back. And I think that that's something really important to remember. You don't hear much about civil asset forfeiture in this country, but you know, if you were accused of a crime, if they thought you committed a crime, they could come in, seize your home, your car, and everything before you were convicted, and you couldn't get it back, even if you were proved innocent. That's how much authority the government has over us right now. And I'm not even going into national security things in the Patriot Act. We have become complacent. We accept what the media says in the government.
Exactly. You just answered my question before I asked it. I was actually going to say, but why is it like that? You know, I'm not suggesting that people go out there and riot and things like that. But you know, it's been many years since we have had a revolution in this country, and people are too kind of, you know, involved in their own lives and thinking about what affects them rather than what affects the whole of the status quo. So people don't want to make a difference anymore, and people don't want to do things differently in order to effect change, and that's sad because it's becoming our undoing, really.
I mean, I would challenge anybody to disagree with me on this one point. Our first reaction, like if a child got killed on US 19 where I live right now, because there was no street light, the first reaction of everybody when they read that news story and all the bystanders would be, why don't the government do something about it? Why don't they put a light there? Why don't they post a cop there? Nobody would think, what can we do about it?
Right.
What was the parent doing to watch their child? The first reaction is for all of us to run to the government and say, change the law, and then we complain about whatever they do because they messed it up so badly.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And I think this is why people need to remember all of these things when they vote, because mostly when we vote, what we tend to do is we think of which party has not messed it up so much. And that is a worry. We should actually be voting on the basis of which party is offering to affect the better change. And obviously there's no guarantee that they're going to do any of those things, but it is really a growing concern. Now it's time to switch tacks a little bit story-wise, because where time is as ever catching up with us. On New Year's Day 2015, Sarah Palin, former governor of Alaska, running with John McCain for the failed bid for the presidency, was in the firing line once again this week, no pun intended, as she posted an inspirational message with a photo of her son Trig. But it wasn't posted without some controversy. She posted 3 pics of her son Trig 6 with a step forward in parentheses as the message. Her son Trig has Down syndrome, and she captured the shot May 2014, seeing every stumbling block turned into a stepping stone on the path forward. The issue with the stepping stone, however, was that their dog was the stepping stone, and her son was using the pet as a stool, and it made many animal activists very angry. With over 65,000 likes and more than 21,000 comments, many took issue with her post and saw it as animal abuse. It has been 2 days, and Palin has yet to respond. Is this a big deal over nothing, or is it just more sensationalizing by the media? What do you think about this, Tony?
I'll answer that with another story that I came across, actually. I'd like to ask how many of those people that were so outraged at Sarah Palin, that were so concerned about animals, are abstaining from food bought in the supermarkets, particularly pork and cattle, which are abused horribly on those farms, on those mass market produced farms. I saw documented footage of how the pigs are 2, 3 fed antibiotics through injection and stuck in their own vial. Well, where are those people protesting? That's animal. That's an animal.
Yep.
But they pick on these stupid issues of little concern. I mean, granted, it wasn't in the best taste, and this is Sarah Palin we're dealing with, you know.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But it was nothing. It was nothing to raise a stink about. It was an innocent thing, and
right.
Once again, how many of those people are really into animal rights, or did they just shoot their mouth off because they wanted to look like they were concerned for animals? And that's the horrible truth of people like that.
I have to say, I'm not Sarah Palin's biggest fan. She said some rather stupid things, but you know me, I don't care what political party you're from. If I agree with you, I agree with you. If I don't, I don't. But I do tend to think that this was just because it was her. There was a picture that Ellen posted of something similar of a child standing on a dog to get to where it was going to or whatever, and it got millions of likes and nobody said anything about it. And I think it's more the messenger that they had the issue with here, not the act. Hello?
And that's exactly what I believe it is too, Xander. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there's issues with your phone. I can hear you now, but I was just getting some strange noises. It's hard to tell whether it's Blog Talk or actually the phones. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just saying I completely agree with you. I think it's just because it was Sarah Palin, and beyond that, I think it's people, and we have a large problem, and I will say it with the left on this country, who they pick these issues and they try to make it seem like they're not racist or they're for animal rights, for the environment, and they talk out their butt without having any knowledge or any real depth of the issue. And that's the problem.
I think there are enough butt talkers on both sides, whether it's the left or the right. And sometimes I'm kind of like, I'm loath to be able to choose between them. And unfortunately, that's probably a lot to do with why, I became a libertarian. But I do really think that inevitably she's always going to be a direction for people to vent their wrath. And that is kind of a shame. But there is a school of thought that she brought all of this on herself because she was like, she just became famous overnight and was too outspoken very, very quickly. But for me, I'm not interested in for politicians or people in the public eye, I'm more interested in your policies and how your policies actually affect me rather than what you post on Facebook. Because let's face it, if we base our opinions of people on what was posted on Facebook, I mean, you've only got to take one look at my timeline. My timeline is so mixed. There's funny stuff, there's dirty stuff, there's serious stuff, there's a mixture of everything. And, don't judge me on my Facebook or even Twitter timeline. Judge me on what I say, and I think that if they did that with her, and as I said, I'm not her biggest fan, but I think she got rather a raw deal this time. It's like, what the hell can she do without being criticized?
Honestly, my initial reaction to it, Xander, was, oh my gosh, she says enough things legitimately, puts her foot in her mouth enough times where you can rip her apart.
Great.
There's no need to pick on things that aren't issues. If you want to pick on her, there's plenty to pick on.
Absolutely, and I think that I think we should be spending our time dealing with more legitimate issues. Not that hurting animals is not a legitimate issue. Before you all start writing in,
right.
Call us. Tell us what you think. 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. Do you think that this was more because it was Sarah Palin, or do you think it was a genuine animal rights concern? Call us and tell us what you think. I think people are afraid to call in, Tony, sometimes, and that's a shame. People should feel free to come on and share their opinions. We don't have to agree, but you are more than welcome to call us and tell us what you think. Oh, yes, you are. So our last story of the day today is regarding Madonna. No, not the mother of Jesus, the self-appointed Princess of Pop. Now, apparently, Madonna apologized this week for seemingly comparing herself to Martin Luther King Jr. and former President of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, while arguably promoting her new album. On Friday, January the 2nd, she said, I'm not comparing myself to anyone. I'm admiring and acknowledging their rebel hearts, which is apparently the name of her album. This is neither a crime or an insult or racist, the 56-year-old wrote on Facebook. She also did it with Michael Jackson and Frida Kahlo and Marilyn Monroe. Am I saying I am them? No, I am saying they are rebel hearts too. Earlier in the day, Madge sparked an outrage on social media when she photoshopped her cover art for the 13th studio album, Rebel Hearts, on the faces of Martin Luther King and Mandela, two of the most important black civil rights activists of the 21st century. Their faces were bound in black rope and were accompanied by a caption, "This rebel heart had a dream," she wrote about MLK, and she added of Mandela, "This rebel heart fought for three freedoms, living for love, is her latest song. The singer also teased her haters with photos, but ultimately defended herself once she received the negative attention. So what do you make of all this, Tony? Was she wrong to use these people in this way? Is it just another reason to say crap about Madonna? What do you make of it?
I think Madonna's the victim of racism. That's what I think. I think that had it not been, I think had it had been Beyonce or anybody.
Oh, I thought you were joking. You mean had she been a black person and done that, it would have been acceptable?
Had she been a black entertainer, it would have been completely acceptable and nobody would have said anything. That's my personal opinion, and call it for what it is. You can't be white and make a statement like that. It's racist. And she's being victimized. I mean, everybody knows Madonna is one of the most liberal people out there. She's done so many things for the progressive and the liberal community. It's not even funny. On top of that, I think her analogy was valid. She was making the same sort of analogy I would. Well, they were rebels. I'm a rebel, too. Leave it at that.
Right.
I mean, what is it that these people are they're not Jesus, you know?
Now there is a school of thought that a lot of the anti-Madonna sentiment, I can't believe I just used that phraseology on my show, but there you go. That the anti-Madonna sentiment was in part to do with the fact that she's been kind of divisive about Lady Gaga. You remember last year she called her reductive. This year she put pictures of Lady Gaga on her social media of her not looking that good. I mean, can't we, I said this at the foot of the show, can't we love Lady Gaga and Madonna? Can't we like both of these artists' music, or do we have to pick one?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there, and there might have been some of that, but I really think it was that she was a white female singer. Honestly, it might have been some of the anti-Madonna sentiment, but I really think people were on a crusade. Once again, I could see if she said something wrong, but if she clearly made the analogy, which is what I was reading, they were rebels, I'm a rebel. What is wrong with that? She picked that. They were rebels. I mean, Martin Luther King was a rebel. He fought against an unjust system and oppression. He rose up. That was the thing. Nelson Mandela did the same thing, though I have no respect for him. So she was making the comparison. We're rebels. Revolutionary.
I even heard people saying after Nelson Mandela died, calling him a terrorist, which I was totally shocked at.
That was me. That was me, yes, but I'm not going to go into that.
But let me just point something out, Tony. We don't agree on everything, but we still manage to remain friends. We discuss and debate everything, but we don't stop being friends because we disagree, do we?
Right, until you tell me don't ever come on your show again. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, don't ever darken the doorway of Xandermonium again. Exactly. I kind of think where the line draws for me. I was actually discussing this with someone. There's some website now where you can find out who's got you blocked on Facebook. I don't know what it's called, but I only ever block people when they get kind of like when they get aggressive and they get threatening. Then I'll block them because I can't be bothered with dealing with these people. To be honest,
No, and I don't blame you. I don't block. I think I maybe have blocked one person on my whole Facebook history, and that's usually if they're offensive towards me. Usually people will be the ones that unfriend me, and then later on they want a friend and request me back, and I say no. It's like
exactly.
One person unfriended me for my view on gun control, and then they wanted me back 6 months later as a friend, and it was like, wait, you didn't like my opinion, so you blocked me from your Facebook. And now you want to be friends again?
It's absolutely ridiculous. I have to just share what Joe's saying in the chat room. She said she's been turned off by Madonna ever since she learned she insists on the whole entire audience standing while she sings. It might have only been the last few songs of the evening, but OMG, how dare she insist. She stopped singing them till people stood. I'm amazed at that.
I didn't know
totally
that. That's
amazed.
interesting. Yeah, that's
I
very
am
interesting.
totally amazed. Even when I go to church, I don't always tend to think, because I have arthritis in my back and my legs, and depending on how I'm feeling in the day, I won't even always stand for God. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, but do people always stand for the national anthem? Who was that? Who was that pop star recently that got pissy that someone wouldn't stand for to sing the Star Spangled Banner? It turned out the person was disabled. Do you remember who that was?
No, I don't.
I just
That is a
kind
shame,
of, I
though.
don't know. Yeah, it is.
I mean, it goes
is.
back to
It's kind of.
it really goes back to what you said, Xander. Why can't we agree to disagree and have a respectful dialogue?
Exactly. For me, that's becoming a growing concern. I wrote an article about this last year, and I said, does this mean then that everyone that disagrees with things that I say, are they Xanderphobes? Are you Xanderphobic if you disagree with me? I know that sounds so ridiculous, but it was in order to actually make a point that we can disagree. We can agree to disagree. And actually, if we can't discuss it as an adult, then clearly you're not an adult. Because I can sit and do whatever I please and have whatever opinions I please. I've had people that I don't even know blocking me because of my opinions and perceptions. And apparently I talk too much about gay rights and human rights on my show. So go listen to somebody else's show. Yes, I do. But I have to laugh at these people because I'm just here doing my bit, trying to make my difference in the world. And nobody forces you to listen with a gun. Nobody says if you don't listen to the show, your benefits will be stopped or anything like that. So people are free to listen to whatever they want to listen to. Thank God. Thank God we don't live somewhere in Russia where you have to have certain opinions and do certain things, and can't do others. Thank God we live in that country where we can do those things. Our time is coming to an end together today, Tony. Tell people where they can find you on social media, and so they can come follow you and interact with you with some civil discourse, as it were.
Well, you can find me at Full Story 2014 on Twitter if I get around to posting more tweets on a regular basis, which is on one of my New Year's resolutions, by the way, Xander.
What, to use Twitter more?
Yes, to actually post stuff on that account. The other way you can find me is on Facebook at Anthony Losacco, and you just type in Anthony and then Losacco, and you can bring up my Facebook account, which has all my usual rants, and you are always welcome to have a discourse with me. I just ask that you be respectful.
Absolutely. So make sure you go check out Tony. Make sure you follow him. You don't have to agree with him, but be polite. That's what it's all about. We're all trying to make a bit of a difference. And if you don't agree with it, that's absolutely fine too. So for today, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you'll come back and join us very, very soon. The one, the only, Mr. Tony Losacco. Thanks a lot, Tony.
Thank you, Xander.
Have a great weekend. Give our love to Kiko.
You too. Okay.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. That was the fabulous Mr. Tony Losacco. Make sure you check him out on social media. If you didn't get all of his links, you can go to www.xandergibb.com. Have a look on the show page for today, and you will be able to check him out. Oh, yes, you will. So my guest today is a very good friend of mine and an Illinois comedian and mayoral hopeful. Her name is Sarah Boyles, no stranger to our little show. She speaks her mind and is funny to boot. So I would like to say welcome back and Happy New Year to the one, the only, the fabulous Sarah Boyles. Hi, Sarah. How are you doing?
Hi, Xander. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I am fabulous. I just wish it was cocktail time and I was sitting watching my stories, but we'll be getting there very soon. So, welcome back to the show, Sarah. So much been going on in the last year in your life. You're standing for the position of mayor in Salem, Illinois, and you're the first comedian, male or female, to do so. Tell us a bit about that. How did that come about?
Well, it sort of started satirically. I found out the mayor that we have now wasn't going to be running again. So I thought, well, I'll run for mayor and I'll try to make it funny. Well, I started seeing people wanting me to actually really run, and they really wanted to support me, and I listened to their problems, and I listened to what they felt the city problems were, and I thought, wow, maybe I really am the woman for this job. So I officially put my name on the ballot.
Absolutely, that's great. Congratulations. And this is the thing that people sometimes struggle with the ideology that you can be funny and care. But there's nothing odd about that at all, is there? We all have many facets to our life. You're not just a comedian. You're also a mother. You're a wife. You're a daughter. You do all these other things too. So why do you think people have had difficulty grasping that you're able to do more than one thing? And is it sexist, do you think?
I'm not sure if it's sexist. I do feel like a little bit of it is. Not even coming from men. It's coming from women. I do have modeling in my background. I also have modeling in my future. I have 3 shoots coming up soon. And I do share some pictures that are, I think, tasteful, and maybe they don't. So, of course, the slut-shaming starts. And then, I can't, like you said, be a comedian and be a mayor according to them. When I feel like a comedian is the best for the job because I care enough to try to make other people laugh. And not only that, I can be decisive and open-minded, compulsory at the same time. It's just, I think it's actually an asset. A lot of people in my area find it not to be.
Well, I do too, and I think it's some of it is more to do with your location, because if you were running as a comedian in New York City, the response would be totally different. And I think that whilst I see that, I can't necessarily hold truck with that. Now, there's been issues from the beginning with the level of response people have given to you concerningly. Tell us some of the things that happened. I know someone throw a burning sofa cushion at your house
yes.
in the beginning of all of this? I mean, what the heck was that all about? Right.
Well, that was about whatever that was about. I don't know, Xander. I had put up a video, I had put up a thing saying I was running for mayor, and the next thing I knew, my kids and I smelled smoke and saw the fire outside, and it was like, oh, here we go. And,
wow.
Since then the cops have been here 3 times. I mean, it's escalated, to say the least.
Right. Because you've even let me first of all say that the people that are giving you grief and objecting to you becoming the mayor are actually the minority, because the majority of people have been very supportive of you and really want to kind of support you in your run in the mayoral race.
Definitely.
So what are the things I know you've had death threats too. I mean, I get them all the time in this job, and I kind of laugh off, but it must be kind of scary as a mother, with young kids, that people are threatening to kill you. Are the police taking these threats seriously? Is anything being done about it?
I have to say this. The Salem PD make me feel so safe. They really do. I am so proud of our city's police department. They take it very seriously. They are nothing but supportive of me. They've never asked me to change who I was. They've never asked me to stop sharing any images that I share, stop any jokes that I make. They put all of the responsibility on the people that are threatening my life. And, if they do it again, they're going to be arrested. So they're definitely following through.
Right.
And if anything, this is a lesson I feel for my sons and my stepdaughter to teach them you can't put so much pressure on someone till they want to give up. It's up to the person. I personally am not going to give up just because they want me to. If anything, I'm going to take their hate and make it work in my favor. I'm going to make a lesson out of this. Just because I'm an unknown kind of politician or, I understand some people fear what they don't know and maybe don't agree with what they don't know, but there's no reason to bully someone because of that. There's no reason to threaten someone. You can always just reach out and try to talk about it. Just try to understand it.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
I've seen, you're my friend in real life, and you're my friend on Facebook too, and you work on my TV show. I see some of the commentary that is made about you. Now, you've chosen in order to kind of like further your campaign to use some not typical methods of promoting your campaign. Now, I've seen some of the pictures that you've used. I'm as gay as the day is long. I don't find them offensive, and I don't think that anybody could, because let's face it, if you put a picture on Facebook that's not acceptable, it's off very quickly.
Yeah, and none of mine have been removed.
Right. So whatever anybody's opinion is, they're not deemed inappropriate for social media. So for my money, why should anybody have a problem with pictures you post on there if they're not deemed inappropriate by Facebook? Because this is clearly out of jealousy. Let's face it.
It really does feel that way. I hate to say that because I'm not that personality.
Well, you didn't, because I did. I said it, not you.
See, Xander said it, everybody. But, really, I feel like it does come from a place where maybe they don't understand me and also a jealousy thing. I think it could be both.
Right.
I am in the Bible Belt, and I made a joke, let's loosen our Bible Belt, Marion County, because, Jesus, it's about to kill me. I mean, I don't know how they can be so uptight. I wouldn't have the energy to be that uptight. And as far as the unorthodox way that I have presented people to register to vote, see, I did my homework, and I saw that a lot of 18 to 25, sometimes 35-year-old males especially, are not registered to vote. And if you want to make a difference, you have to register to vote. And I thought maybe some images of myself in some lingerie I'd worn in a modeling set, before, I thought maybe that would get their attention, and it did. A lot of them did register. There was no nudity. I just felt like it was a way to get people to register.
It couldn't have been considered porn, but it was by some of the people that objected.
I guess Salem hasn't seen porn.
Exactly. I mean, I think what you should do is you should speak to your campaign manager, and what you should do next week is you should get out there and get a head job and cover yourself with just your eyes showing, and let's see what response you get to that. You know what I mean? Let's go to the other end of the spectrum, and let's see what kind of response you get from these idiots. Because let's face it, that's what they are. They're idiots. Let's just give out the phone number, because I'd like to take some calls if people want to call in. 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. Same number for Skype. Call us if you have a question for Sarah or a comment, or you want to share your opinion on this situation. Now, what kind of impact has this had on your life as a whole, Sarah, running for mayor?
Well, I'm going to say it's made me a lot stronger. I can't deny that. It's made my vision a lot clearer on what I want to do now. It's hard. That's a very complex question.
Right.
I've matured fast because I've had to now, and it's not like I wasn't already mature, but it's just, if anything, I think it's teaching my children to be more open-minded, which I had already had them open-minded, but
right.
I feel like it's taught them to not ever back down. I know that after I ran for mayor, my 15-year-old and 17-year-old ran for, they went out for a play, and they would have never probably done that otherwise.
Right.
I just hope in the end that I can help the youth in this area and my own youth. I mean, I hope I can teach them that Salem can be a better place. I think Salem's an awesome city. I'm not saying it's not, but I've been taught that I do think that it could be better. I've learned that through the process. From what I've heard, people, messaging me, talking to me, I feel like it could be fixed.
Absolutely. And we were talking about this in the first half of the show, that we all need to get out there and do things to make a difference. My concern is that you should really be applauded for this and for trying to make a difference. But the majority of the people that are actually giving you the grief are women. I mean, what does this say?
Yeah, they're women, and they're either my age or a little younger. Surprisingly, it's not older women. They get me. I guess they've matured.
Right.
And also the people. I have to say this, if I can, Xander. The people that support me just kick ass. I mean, they are so awesome. I couldn't ask for better supporters if I tried. They keep me going every day. Every day. They're the reason I keep chugging forward. But whenever my fans or my supporters say, well, no, now Sarah's not a slut, you can't call her that, she's a family woman, she's had one partner, well, then they're called a bully. And it's just it's perpetuating hate. When my son got beat up at school he was like the last day of school, and like 3 kids were kicking his ass and trying to throw him off a slide. Well, my son punched one and dropped him, and he got kicked out of school, and the other kids didn't. And I high-fived him. I was like, that's the way you do it. You just fight. If a bully's going to hit you, you got to hit him back. And if someone's going to use words against me and say I'm a horrible person, I'm going to say, no, I'm not.
So let me ask you this, and you can feel free not to answer, but do you feel that your negative experiences with the Illinois school system with regards to your son have contributed to the fact that you wanted to stand for mayor to make a difference?
I would definitely say that. I will say that my experiences are a little better now. And I would say that, I don't want to kid anybody. Everybody says, what's your plan? What's your plan? You don't write enough about your plans for mayor. Well, I do. I write about it constantly. I've been in the paper. I've been on the radio. My Facebook page is just mine. That's not for campaigning. I just use it sometimes for that. But, the whole point of it is, it's not even campaigning time either yet. I'm campaigning a little early just for fun. But people want to say that I haven't said enough, and I've said plenty. They're just missing it. And I don't want to kid anyone. A mayor job, there's 2 different kinds. There's a powerful mayor, and then there's the figurehead mayor. Well, Salem happens to be a figurehead mayor. They only make $3,600 a year. That's it. It's not like, most of the decisions are going to be up to city council. Now, I'll beg for the improv classes at the theater. I'll beg for fashion shows for teen girls so we can get some. We have such a high suicide rate in Marion County. It's sad.
Wow.
And a lot of it is because of bullying. It really is. And some of it's drugs. We have high drugs here because there's nothing to do. And I feel like if we, let's, instead of lining the pockets of some of the folks around town, let's have something to do here finally, Let's not look down on art. Let's encourage it.
Because a lot of these issues are systemic and they're very circular, where, when there's nothing going on for people to get occupied, this is when they get into crime and drugs, et cetera, and the local authorities will tell you there's no money to spend on these things, whereas they can find the money for the fat salaries of the local politicians. So
exactly.
Something's got to give. That there has to be some way forward in order to make things better. Now make this clear for people, Sarah. Twofold question. First of all, this is even though you're a comedian, you are involved in comedy, you write for my show, et cetera, et cetera. You're serious as hell about this mayoral run, aren't you? It's not a joke to you. This is serious.
No, it's not a joke to me. It is very serious. The only thing I can hope is that I bring light to how silly small-town politics can really be. We all know it's a popularity contest. I'm not going to play dumb to that. And clearly I'm the most popular, whether it be for negative or positive reasons. My name's getting there.
Part two of my question is, now, although a lot of these things that these haters have done has been quite hurtful to you, it's all a learning process, but what is your message to them? What is your message to these people that are attacking you, besides get on meds, of course?
After the getting on medication, and I would probably suggest Seroquel from what I hear, what they need to do is, instead of not, it's like they want to hurl hate at something they don't understand, and to me that seems very ignorant. When I don't understand something, I'm like, let's get down and figure out what's going on here. Let's really figure out what the deal is, Hate is a perpetuating thing. It just keeps going and going. Instead of bullying someone, trying to get them to shut up, like I had one girl say, "Watch out, Sarah, the rich might effing read this." And she told me the rich would never vote for me in town because I'm not rich enough. Well, how about quit being an idiot and don't say things like that and start being an open-minded person and instead of slut-shaming, maybe say, "You're beautiful," like I do to women, I know I can't fix the world, Xander. I understand that fully, but I want to make a difference in a few people instead of getting hurt.
But you're not trying to fix the world, are you? You're trying to do something in your own local community, and that's what we should all be trying to do. Because if we all try and do something good in our communities, the world will get fixed. When you do it on a local level and try and make a difference on a local level, it actually grows. It really does. What was I going to ask you? My brain just went absolutely dead. Didn't the ladies who lunched, weren't a lot of these haters trying to kind of get you on side when you first were talking about this, about being in the mayoral race?
I didn't hear the first part of your question. I'm sorry, Xander.
We just missed a caller. If you want to call back, caller 347-884-9061. We will take your call. I said, didn't the ladies who lunch, didn't they try and get you on side first of all?
The ladies on lunch?
The ladies who lunch, didn't they take you to lunch? Some of the.
Oh, that's happened so many times, Xander. Yes, I've had plenty of people take me to supper, take me to lunch, and ask me for favors, and I'm not even mayor yet.
Right. Absolutely. All right, we have a caller. Let's take this call. Hi there, you're live on Xandermonium. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Aiden Taylor from Salem, Illinois, and I want to say how Sarah Boyles is one of the nicest people I know, and I think Lindsay is one of the nicest kids I know. She defended him, and she was just about to go in there and talk to the principal during summer school because Isaac was getting picked on and everything, and then she just stood up for Isaac and was being a great mother, and that's what I wanted to say.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for calling us and sharing that with us today.
Thank you, Aiden.
You're welcome, Sarah.
Absolutely. You see, there are actually people out there that appreciate you.
Oh, I get so many messages from children, Xander. So many.
So, one thing that we like to do on this show is to do a quick fire questions round. So we've got to that stage in the show.
I always suck at this. Why do you do this to me?
This is a new version because it's good and it's funny and people like it. And they like to hear you suck. Okay. Let's
I bet they do.
No pun intended, listeners. Okay. What question do you most hate to be asked?
What are I don't know. That was any. No, I hate to be asked. Probably, do the carpet match the drapes? I hate that question. Does the carpet match the drapes?
Okay. Do the carpet match the drapes?
I hate that question.
All right. Who is your idol?
Oh, my idol. Marilyn Monroe.
Right. Favorite TV show? Aside
The
of
Office?
Xandermonium, of course.
Besides Xandermonium, which I write for, of course, it would be the Office
Absolutely.
English version.
Right. Okay. Tacos or sushi?
Tacos.
Madonna or Lady Gaga?
Lady Gaga.
Worst movie you ever saw? And don't say anything I've been in.
Yellow Brick Road.
Walking Dead or Breaking Bad?
Don't watch either. But if I had to pick, Walking Dead.
What? Okay. Rice or pasta?
Rice.
You find $50 in church. Do A, keep it, B, give it to the minister, or C, do you give it to the homeless guy outside?
Probably B, just to see if he can help me find who lost it.
Right. Okay, paper or plastic?
Plastic.
Which three celebs, living or dead, would you invite to dinner, and what would you serve?
Oh, you're kidding me. Which three, living or did you say dead? What?
Living or dead, which three celebs would you invite to dinner, and what would you serve?
Okay, living and dead. I would do Marilyn Monroe, of course.
Right.
I would do Louis C.K. and Zach Galifianakis, and I would order pizza.
Great answer. All right, the Cosbys or Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
I don't like date rape, so I'll go with Fresh Prince.
Okay, Madonna and Lady Gaga are drowning. Whose head do you take your foot off first?
Lady Gaga.
Okay, if you found a coin with the date 10 BC on it, would it be authentic?
No.
Well done. Which celebrity would you willingly slap? And don't say me.
Honestly, Kanye West.
Right. Okay, get in line, girl. All right, favorite TV Muppet. And don't say Kanye West again. Favorite TV Muppet.
Animal.
Animal. Everyone
wait, was
says
he not a Muppet? He wasn't a Muppet. So Big Bird.
Yeah, he was. Animal
he was a cartoon Muppet.
Big Bird was Sesame Street.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Then I'm going with Animal.
Okay. All right, final question. Law and Order, Special Victims or Criminal Intent?
I'd have to ask my grandma because I don't watch things like that. I have no idea.
Don't vote for Sarah Boyles because she doesn't watch Law and Order.
Such a jerk, Xander.
Absolutely. That was the final question in the quick fire questions around. So for me, my New Year's resolution is to lose weight and to not interact with jerks on social media. What are your New Year's resolutions, Sarah?
Oh God, can I borrow yours?
You can.
I'll go with not dealing with jerks on social media, and I'd like to. I'd really like to help the youth more this year than I did last year.
Right. Absolutely. So what can people out there do to help with your mayoral campaign?
Just word of mouth. I'm actually going about this a different way than most politicians. I'm not asking for money. Now, there may be a time when I need to, but I hope not. And right now I'm trying to do it all by myself. So right now, word of mouth, if they want to make their own signs, I have someone that's volunteering to make signs for free, so that might happen. But just defend me, like I said, there's so much to do for your community. I go and I see cancer people. I try to make them laugh, and last time I said this, I was told I was a snob that bragged. But I mean, it's just really everyone should do things like this. Maybe not exactly go to the oncology unit and make the cancer patients laugh, but maybe go to an elderly home. Maybe see your elderly neighbor. Let's make a difference just in the community, and then we can work on infrastructure and things like that. But if that makes sense. Okay.
It makes absolute sense because at the end of the year, last year, we were actually Ty and I were saying Ty is my co-host for the show.
I know, I love him.
We were actually
too.
saying I love him too. What we were saying is that the aim of Xandermonium this year is to actually encourage people to treat people better and to go out there and check on people and just to make the world a better place. Now, that might sound cliched, but we can do that very simply, even just in our own communities. And I think that's really been the message for today, Sarah, to actually reach out in your own community, because that is indeed fixing the world. Your community is part of the world. But for now, Sarah, that's all we have time for today. But I want you to tell people where they can find you on social media.
Oh, I was going to give my address.
Well, no. I'll give you Sarah's home address. She lives at 125 Fake Street, and that's Salem, Illinois. What's the zip code? It's IL 4596969.
Oh, wow. How did you know? That is exactly right.
Because I got it off the bathroom wall last time I was in Salem. It was on the wall in the bathroom.
I hope it bragged about what else I can do pretty good.
They did. They did.
Okay, good. It's actually, if you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Boyles _S. And you can always find me on Facebook, Sarah Boyles. And don't call me a bully if I say I'm not a slut.
Yeah, I just think that the best way to deal with people of this ilk is to block them, because most of them
and they make
looking for
full
attention.
accounts.
Wow.
And I stay public because there's, I want to be open for my community.
A friend request the other day. I can't think what the name was. It was something not
Fred
nice.
Fox?
But Fred Fox, yeah.
They were the ones that stole my dad's images, and I know who it is, but I can't say.
Wow.
Yes.
No, don't name and shame, because as I was just saying, Sarah, most of these people do these things for attention, and when you name them, it actually gives them more attention. So it's
they're
better
not riding my
to
coattails.
Ignore it. No. Absolutely. But I tell you this, when you do get elected, Sarah, we have to have a party, and I'll come to town and I'll perform at your I was going to say graduation party. What am I talking about? Your whatever it is.
My mayoral banquet? Is that what we should call it?
Yes, that's right. I will
blast.
come and perform at your mayoral banquet. I was going to say blanket then. You see, I need a cocktail. And we will cover it for the show.
Maybe you don't
Sarah,
need a cocktail.
Maybe I do. Yeah, maybe I just need some more Xanax. I have to be really careful, because you're not allowed to joke, you see, because everybody takes everything so seriously. Xander is addicted to Xanax and can't wait to get off the show for a cocktail. Yes, Sarah will be on the show next Friday on the TV show with her predictions for 2015. Just before you get there, what are your predictions for me for 2015?
I had one and I totally forgot it.
Apart from performing,
you're probably going to be president, aren't you? Like in 2016.
Yeah, of the local LGBTQ association, probably.
You're going to be man of the year in 2015.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Sarah, it was great to have you on the show. I hope you come back very soon. And when you actually start campaigning proper, I hope you'll come and give us your campaign statements, et cetera, and we can have as much fun as we've had today. But for now, thank you so
Xander.
much for joining us. Comedian and mayoral candidate, I keep wanting to say mayoral. Mayoral candidate, Sarah Boyles. Thank you so much, Sarah. Have a great week. We love you so much.
You too. Thank you, Xander. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Take care, Sarah. Bye-bye. That was the fabulous Sarah Boyles, comedian and mayoral candidate. Make sure you follow her on social media. Make sure you check in with her on Twitter. Her Twitter address is on the show page for today at www.twitter.com/Sarah xandergibb.com/radio. You'll be able to get to the link from there. So thanks so much for everybody who has made today's show possible. Thanks to Tony for co-hosting. Thanks to comedian Sarah Boyles for coming and entertaining us in part 2. Thanks to you for listening. Thanks to everybody in chat. Thanks to Joe. Thanks to Rebecca. Thanks to all of the guests. It was great to have you on board. Next time you come along, you should click on and join Blog Talk so you can get joined in the conversation. We will be back with you next week on Sunday with the one and only Mr. T.P. Egar. Don't forget to check out episode 9 of Xandermonium, the TV show, because I'm on the telly, you know, my TV talk show, Friday, January 9th on Channel 68 on Optimum and on Channel 34 on Verizon. And if you can't get it because you're not local, because it's a local show for local people, you can get it afterwards on Xandermonium. So thanks, everybody, for being a part of today's show. Make sure you join us next week, and I love you all. Bye-bye.